If you've ever been lucky enough to attend one of the Viking ship's naming ceremonies or have ever been on board ship in Bergen in Norway, then I'm sure you'll probably recognize my guest this evening. As one of Norway's most highly acclaimed violinists, his musical arrangements and playing style are intense and full of emotion. I first met him in Amsterdam 10 years ago, and so it's both as a musician and a friend that it's a real pleasure for me to welcome the violinist par excellence, Tor Jaran Apold, to tonight's In Conversation. Tor Jaran, thank you for joining us from your hometown in Bergen.
Thank you very much, Alastair. Very nice to see you.
Tell me, has the Norwegian summer ended where you are, or can you smell winter in the air?
It's been a fantastic summer this year, but now it's a little bit chillier. But it's still like 17, 18 degrees Celsius, so we're very happy. We're not used to this heat so late in the summer, you know.
Good, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Tor, I know that you have your violin next to you, so I thought we'd start talking about, before we talk about your music, let's talk about the instrument, the violin that you use, because I know it's a special one. Can you just show it to us?
Absolutely.
Now, where does it, just tell us what it is and where it comes from and how you got hold of it.
This is Johannes Kuiper's from the year of 1760.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by the best Dutch maker through the times. And the story goes he beat Stradivari, a Stradivari instrument in a competition in Venice. So, you know, it's better. I bought it of the daughter of Max Muller and Sons, funnily enough, in Amsterdam, the famous violin shop. Sadly, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was one of the very top places to buy instruments. I bought it when I was, I think I was around 20 years old. I had to go to Cremona in Italy to sell my other violin,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to afford this one, and I just fell in love instantly. And I remember I when I put this on the sheets of my cheap motel room in Amsterdam. I started crying. You know, it was very emotional. It's just so perfect. It's so even in the tone from top to bottom. It's which is very seldom to have this kind of integrity throughout the strings. And I wouldn't change it with anyone, you know.
Wonderful. Is it? Do you have a name for it? Do you have a little pet name? Call it something?
No, I just call it the violin, you know. I don't have a name for it.
And tell me, when you travel, is it handcuffed to your wrist? I mean, what's it like when you were traveling with it? It must be nerve-wracking.
It's horrible, you know. I was playing in a wedding in Reims, you know, in Champagne.
Yeah.
Wedding there, and some people picked us up at the train station. And there was some confusion about the cars, who was going to drive this car and the luggage going to go there, and this, you know. And
yeah.
When we did the chateau we were going to perform it, I just realized the violin is left on the ground outside the train station, and it's just gone. It's gone forever. And I just, you know, I got so cold inside. I've never had this. I still feel my hairs racing here. So I just started walking around, and just I knew it was lost forever. You know, it's not going to be there on the train station. But then, okay, I'm going to take one last check of the cars, try to find the drivers and this stuff, and it was inside the other car. Oh. Yeah, I have very mixed feelings about that incident.
You're giving me goosebumps, Tor. I mean, I'm thinking it's the same feeling as when you're in a supermarket and you can't see your child anymore.
Yeah.
I bet it's a similar feeling.
Yeah.
And how sensitive is it to temperature and humidity? Because the reason I'm asking is because I remember the naming ceremony we had in Shanghai, and how freezing cold it was. It was really cold that night. That caused you a lot of problems?
Yeah, that was the problem was worse for the orchestra, the Shanghai Philharmonic that was sitting there accompanying, because they were sitting there for hours, I think, like 5 hours or something, rehearsing and this stuff. I went into to the they had some tents and stuff with some fan ovens and this kind of stuff, you know, to heat up the rooms. But that's also not good for the instrument, this extreme heat, and then the dry air from this, and the wet outside, and you know, it's snowing sideways there, and windy, and just I think I've never heard an orchestra more out of tune. Because all the strings go in different directions, and you know, it's just yeah.
It was so that night. It was so cold, and the orchestra wearing huge coats. But I was going to say, Tor, we before we talk a little more about the violin, let's listen to a little video clip, and so we can hear what a beautiful sound it produces. Wow, beautiful. Tor, what was the performance? What was going on there?
That's a Norwegian folk song that I've arranged. We made this video for Viking, for a presentation of me online at Viking.TV, and it's just a very beautiful, you know, Norwegian folk song that really lends itself very easily to this the way that I like to present music, with this kind of distilled clarity and not intellectual, you know, the intellectual chords where you make music interesting. This way, it's more in this repetitive way, and straight to the heart sort of thing, minimalism.
Well, it certainly is. Sorry, it is a beautiful sound, But I'm just wondering, I don't know whether this is a stupid question or not. Is a violin or an instrument of that quality? Is it like great wine? You know, does it get better with age? Does it improve with playing and time?
Yeah, that's the big discussion. Some people say it can't be, but you know, I don't think I've heard a new instrument sound like the old instruments. But it might also be just because you just love these old instruments, you know. So you kind of you make them perform maybe better also in a way.
Yeah.
And also, you know, the violins that survives for so long time, that's normally exceptional instruments because it's been taken so well care of throughout all these years. So that's you don't have the new instruments haven't gone through this phase where people trash them, you know, because they're not any good. So I don't know.
You know, it's lovely to think of all the other hands that have played that violin before you. And in a way, you don't own that violin. You're just looking after it for the next person.
Yeah.
And then they'll look after it for the next person.
You know, Mozart was in Den Haag when this was made. He visited Den Haag when this was made, which is just crazy thought, you know.
Yeah. When did you pick up a violin for the very first time? So
when?
Yeah, when was the time you actually had a violin in your hands?
Yeah, my father, both my parents were medical doctors, and my father has always been a keen amateur violinist.
Okay.
So he was the one pushing me into this. But the first image, I think, and I think I shared it with you, is me holding my father's violin. I don't know how old I can be at this picture there, but you see, this is the violin is far too big for me. So, and I started when I was 6, and I don't think I'm 6 years old there.
You look a little younger.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know your father was an amateur violinist. Did he push you hard to practice when you were a child?
He pushed me hard, but with lots of warmth, and not, you know, he didn't push me to practice hours and hours. He just kind of tried to push me gently in that direction, you know.
He used to bribe you with the TV, didn't he?
Yeah, you know, we were the last people in the world to get the television set. Everyone else had huge 24-inch color TVs and meters of VHS and Betamax tapes, you know, and we didn't. But after my parents noticed me and my brother just snuck out to go to the neighbor to watch some television, then they decided, okay, we're going to buy a television, and I bought this tiny black and white television, and we weren't allowed to watch much, but we had a television anyway. But I remember this time when I really wanted to quit the violin. You know, I was always bullied at school for it. I walked these 3 kilometers to my teacher, and on the way there I just carrying this. It's just I was sinking through the earth, you know, when I was working with this instrument, and I just wanted to quit. And my father, of course, wanted otherwise, and so we had this negotiation about a TV show. It was called what's the name of this? How the West Won.
Yeah. Yes, How the West Was Won. Yeah.
Featuring Luke and Zeb McKayen, and that was the coolest stuff ever. You know, it was fantastic stuff with 6 shooters and so I just can I watch this show? Yeah, okay. If you continue to play for 1 year, I'm gonna let you see it. And filled with joy, I sat down. We were watching with this indoor antenna with more snow than desert sand there, and it was magic. And the next Saturday when it aired, the next episode aired, I sat in front of the television again, and my father come over and what you doing there? Yeah, I'm just gonna watch this, this Zeb and Luke there, and this. No, you weren't allowed to watch one episode. Are you crazy? So that's it. And I had to continue for more than 1 year, and I continued. Yeah.
Yeah. So the deal was he'd let you watch one episode if you practiced, not the whole lot. Yes. Yeah. But actually, that interestingly brings us on to one of my my little favorite subjects, which is how children should be taught music. Because I strongly believe that all children are capable of playing music and have music inside them, and it just needs good teaching and good parenting to bring it out. But I'd just be interested to know, how hard do you think a child should be pushed to practice? Because let's be honest, when you're 14 or 15, the last thing you want to do is be stuck at home practicing your scales. So how do you? I mean, you have a son. How does it work with you?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a tough time with him, because he's not very happy to practice.
Exactly.
He would rather have me read the collected Karl Bach's Donald Duck stories there. I think we have all of them.
So you can make a deal with him like your father. You can just get one story. Yeah.
It's always negotiations, and he's so sweet. So I have a tough time being strict with him, but I do my best. And I also think anyone who can learn to speak, should also be able to learn to play an instrument. Because learning a language and learning how to respond with the tone of your voice to present different feelings, that should also be possible through an instrument for most people. But it takes so many hours, and it's just the problem is to invest all these hours and not knowing how good you're going to be at the other end, So that's
I mean, I don't know about Norway. Where I live here in France, the French have a certain way approach to education, and it's a very cerebral one. And the way that, for example, I don't know how it is now, but in the past, certainly, the way they would start teaching music was by teaching musical theory, which is guaranteed to put any child off ever wanting to have anything to do with music at all. And that, to my mind, you should start teaching music by putting an instrument in a child's hands and making some sounds. It doesn't matter what, but just make sounds.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the Suzuki method, works this way, and that's how they do it at the cultural school here in Bergen. Also now, so it's the Suzuki school all over, where they start learning to play, and then they start learning the music and learning the notes and the theory and the all this. So it's quite genius the way it's presented there. With you can play pretty. It's real music. It's simple, but it doesn't sound simple. It's rhythms and all this stuff, but he's been very good to put this together, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like with the guitar. I mean, if you know 3 chords, you got the blues. I mean, you can play the blues with, and then kids love playing the blues. Sexy tune, it's yeah. So I think that's the way music should be taught. Moving forward a little bit, Tor, when you were 15, tragically your brother died, and that must have been devastating for you and the whole family. But there was something good that came out of it, and you were sent off to the Gold Coast of Australia. And I just wondered how were things different for you over there? How did that work out?
Yeah, it was really a fresh air for me after this. My brother was 4 years older than me, and my big hero, and but coming to Australia with this open-minded people, and the most wonderful family that I stayed with, Rosemary and Johnny, that I never going to forget. Warm, wonderful people. I brought my violin, of course, but it was soon replaced with a bright green surfboard, and I just had the time of my life, I guess. I made a deal with some bad kid in the street to drive me to the beach, and I think the teachers at the school thought of me more like a curiosity rather than a student, so I never got in any trouble. But I had a wonderful arts teacher that taught me how to draw properly, and the drawings that I did were like Beethoven's Death Mask and Rachmaninoff, and so the music must have been kind of resonating within me still. And anyway, she asked if I could come to school, bring the violin to school, and play for them in class. And incredibly enough, she talked me into it, and I played for them. And I think this was the pivot point in my life there, when I had this. Where people were just amazed of someone doing something that they couldn't, rather than all the bad comments that I got in Norway before that time. So it might be the wonderful Australian people, or might be also the age, a little bit older, and you really start realizing stuff. But that was kind of the pivot point when I had the first time I thought, yeah, maybe I can become a professional violinist.
Well, I was going to ask you when you actually had that, that little mind click to actually make make this your life's work. I used to be an assistant to a photographer in London, and he only photographed classical musicians. And I remember thinking, just when I was in that world, how incredibly competitive it is, and how we would go to people's houses and photograph them, pianists and violinists and cellists, and they would be really, very good at a professional level. And yet they would be struggling for work. I mean, and I couldn't believe it, because to me it sounded amazing, and they'd be really struggling to find work. So, I mean, it really is. All I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is that it's one thing to decide to be a professional musician, but it's a bit like an actor. It's a very tough career path.
Yeah. Of course it is. Yes. So I feel I've been very lucky to be able to live off this since I started the conservatory. So when I got back to Norway, I quickly finished high school just to get the points to get legally inside the conservatory or the Grieg Academy of the University of Bergen. I started working. They had a startup television company. Our second television company in Norway. It's been just one channel for all these years, and then TV2 came around, and there was a lot of work there. And then through this also I got into a lot of theater work, stage work. So they actually kicked me out, from.
You were kicked out of the conservatory.
Yeah, they kicked me out because I didn't.
Right.
I didn't go to all the classes that I had to go to. So they took me back, and they asked me if I could join in on all the fun, just not legally. Yeah.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about someone close to your heart, Tor, and that's the 19th century Norwegian composer and violinist Ole Bull.
Yes.
Now I'm a classical music lover, but I have to admit, until I met you, I'd never heard of him or listened to his music. So could you tell us a little bit about him and why his music speaks to you so strongly?
Yeah. If you lived in the 19th century, you would have heard of him, because he was the biggest violin star during his time.
Wow.
And people knew him like Paganini. He was quite a character. He founded a city in America. And he was paid for every concert. He was paid enough to build a house, and he had 200 concerts per year throughout Europe, throughout the world. And how that was possible in the 19th century to have 200 concerts per year with no planes. So he had his own team. Traveling in front of him, for the next day, making everything ready, drawing attention to all the people, and putting up posters and all this. And the women in the front rows, they were fainting. He went around with his smelling salt, just to wake up the women on the first row there. So he was quite the character. And of course, he as a composer, he hasn't left us much, and totally in the shadow of Edvard Grieg. But here in Bergen, he's as well known as Edvard Grieg, and he still have this wonderful holiday home on an island just outside of Bergen, which is just spectacular. No, he was quite the character. He had several Guarneri instruments, and he ruined a lot of them because he was just trying to make some adjustments, and he took off the cover, and he just caved out more wood from the cover to make it thinner and this stuff, and he totally ruined everything, So among violinists worldwide, he's hated to this day for his ill doings.
Oh, really? That's fascinating. Yeah. Let's play a little clip of you playing a piece of the music of Ole Bull. No, that's tremendous. I know that Ollie Bourel, he visited the United States several times, and he had a lot of success over there, I read. And today, apparently, in Potter County in Pennsylvania, there is the Ole Bull State Park. Have you been there? Or maybe even...
No, never been there.
Okay.
You know, he founded a small city there called Oleana, you know, Ole Bull, Oleana. And but he just spent a lot of money there, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted it to go. So I don't think the place exists anymore.
Okay, well, the state park still exists.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody watching is in Potters County in Pennsylvania and you haven't already been there, go along and have a great day out. Tor, do you compose? Do you write music?
Sometimes. Normally, I arrange music. The first solo album, I composed a few pieces. But lately I've been digging into all the wonderful folk songs that we have in Norway and arranged them, you know.
Right.
So,
well, in 2014, you recorded your first solo album, which was called Nomos, N-O-M-S, and I've been playing it this morning. It's beautiful. By the way, you also did the painting for the cover, I read.
I did, yes.
What is the significance of the name Nomos? What is Nomos?
It's Greek for like the what's it, the logic of no, the spirit of law. The spirit of law, I think, is it's just, you know, we have this kind of very strict minimalism throughout the CD, and we thought it was a suitable name.
Great. So you've been a part of every Viking ship naming ceremony, and you give a concert on board ship every time there's one in Bergen. It's been a great partnership with Viking. It has,
and the first time I met anyone from Viking was when I met Karina Hagen in Ole Bull's home when she was researching for this big Viking Ocean, you know, Viking Ocean commitment.
Yeah.
So that's when I met wonderful Karina, and soon later I found myself in Amsterdam, where I met you the first time also, during the Guinness World of Records, 16 longships named in one day, 24 hours. So we had 10 longships in Amsterdam and flew directly to Avignon for the remaining 6.
That's right.
And this wonderful banquet at Pont du Gard after, where you took a picture of me the first time also.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was a great evening. It was a wonderful evening, wasn't it? It was absolutely magic.
Yeah.
But you know, a while ago, I mean, well, it's a few years ago now, I came to your home where you are right now, and we chatted for a little while. And before I let you go, Tor, I just want to share with the viewers the amazing view that you have over the city of Bergen. There we have a picture of it right there. That's your balcony. I just imagine, you know, do you ever stand on that balcony and play the violin to the whole city below you? Like that sort of thing Ollie Bourel would do, isn't it?
I have done it a couple of times. You know, when I have to do outside performances, you know, the violin is never happy to be outside because of the strings. You know, it's not a very suitable instrument for playing outside. And also for the violin to resonate, it needs some walls around it to resonate in. You know, like the piano has its own kind of environment, but the violin needs a good acoustic space. You know. So, but I see your image there. It's a beautiful image, but in practice, it's less than perfect.
I'll take it. Tor Jaran, a huge thank you to you for taking the time to be with us today. It's been great talking to you. Why don't we end with a video clip of you playing a piece, and maybe, Tor, you could introduce it for us.
Absolutely. This video was made for the Viking Venus naming ceremony. And because of the pandemic, I couldn't be there in real life. So so that's why we pre-recorded a few things. And this is my favorite Norwegian folk song, "Jeg vet I himmerik ei borg," that I've made the arrangement of. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much.
Lovely. Well, let's have a look at the video. And once again, thank you, Tor. And we wish you well. I hope to see you again in real life, either on a ship or your beautiful balcony. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely.